Annyeonghaseyo. Hello, all my beautiful people, and welcome to the alternate point of view. My name is Tracy Lee. I want to say welcome to anyone who is new and welcome to everyone who is my OGs. I appreciate you all very, very much. I hope that you are all thinking of each other and praying for everyone. And tonight I want to talk to you all about, of course, Michael Jackson Bolanos and the Samantha Wall trial. And there are some details that I want to talk about because this trial went on for over a month and Michael Jackson Bolanos is still in jail. And the guy who confessed to the killing of Samantha Wall, Jeffrey Herbstman, I don't want anyone to forget his name. As much as I want everyone to remember Michael Jackson Bolanos' name, I want you to remember his name because he is innocent. And he is the one who is being charged for the horrific murder of Samantha Wall that happened on October 21st, 2023, which was not so long ago. I want you to remember this trial in this case because mainly, let me see. I have so many reasons, but mainly because Michael Jackson Bolanos is alive. He is alive and he is in jail. And the reason I want you to remember that is because there are so many cases and so many times that in this generation, in this, I don't know, time that we're in or whatever you want to call it, but people seem to wait until someone is dead before anyone does anything or stands up and says anything. I can give numerous examples. For instance, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Sonia Massey. There are so many people that die, and then all of a sudden, the masses come forward, right? And you have Ben Crump, whatever his name is. But he comes out, and he is the so sympathetic attorney that is just like, oh, so sorry. He's like the next Al Sharpton, right? And he's so sorry for these families and their loss. And he's right there to just scoop up the money as soon as it comes in, right? Because he's all there for their civil rights, right? He's all there to make sure that this injustice never happens again. But where is everyone when there is injustice happening to a person who is alive, who is living the injustice that is happening to them in real time as we speak, as it's happening right now? Where is everyone to help a person who is being wrongfully accused that is alive and that can be helped now? They're nowhere, right? Nowhere. Because that type of justice is not the type of justice that sells. That's not the type of justice that makes money for organizations like Black Lives Matter, because Black lives don't matter until they're dead lives. Dead lives matter, apparently. This is what I'm learning, going down this path of trying to figure out how to fight injustice. And I'm learning that injustice only matters if the person dies. And that is really, really sad because I am learning that no one gives a crap unless you're dead. The White House doesn't care. KJP, when she does all of her wonderful press conferences, she doesn't care. Kamala Harris doesn't care. Like Ben Crump doesn't care unless they're dead. He doesn't make money unless they're dead. But why is Jeffrey Herbstman so important? Jeffrey Herbstman's important because he confessed to killing Samantha Wall. He confessed to killing her. He confessed to having the opportunity and the motive and to outsmarting police. He confessed. And the police did nothing. The police let him call his mommy. What did they do with Michael Jackson Bolanos? They arrested him. They kicked in his door. They took everything from him, including his job, his girlfriend, his life, his phone, his computers, his car, everything. Everything that he could possibly call his own, which was not much to begin with. They took it all. The only thing they have not taken is his actual life. Is that what it takes in our society to get people to rally around and do anything about it? Yes. Sad as it is, that's what it takes in this society. For people to fight for injustice, is it takes someone to die. I don't want it to get to that point. Samantha Wall already died. Samantha Wall already lost her life to a terrible, terrible, jealous person who was, if I can't have you, nobody else can person. And he confessed to it. And he is free. And he is being protected by the Jewish community there in Detroit, Michigan. And why is he being protected? How is he being protected? Well, let's see. Let me tell you how he is. He got what is called use immunity. What exactly is use immunity? Well, we're going to talk about that. Use immunity is a type of immunity given to certain people. There's also an immunity called transactional immunity, which is total immunity. Now, Jeff was not given total immunity. Jeff was given use immunity. So let's talk about what these immunities are. Now, from what I understand, people are given use immunity. For instance, if you and I were involved in a crime together, and let's say, here's an example, like Gypsy Rose, for instance. She and her boyfriend killed her mother. Gypsy Rose didn't actually stab her mother to death. Her boyfriend did it. But Gypsy Rose manipulated and plotted and planned the crime. So what did Gypsy Rose get? Gypsy Rose only got 10 years if she testified against her boyfriend, which is use immunity. So the boyfriend got life in prison, and Gypsy Rose is out free, and she's pregnant, and she's getting plastic surgery, and she's worth millions of dollars. She makes $200,000 a month. Go figure. There are many cases where that happens in. As a matter of fact, Adam Montgomery, who killed his daughter, his wife got use immunity to testify against her husband, Adam Montgomery, for killing his daughter, even though she partook in the entire time that Harmony was dead, being beaten to death, the aftermath of her death, everything, and she is already out of prison. Adam Montgomery, on the other hand, got, of course, life. Now, why would they give someone use immunity? Because that person has information that the prosecution needs. And anything that person says on the stand cannot be used against them as long as they give the prosecution what they need in order to prosecute the defendant that they really want and get them the sentence that they really want. So Jeff Herbstman gets use immunity to go on the stand to testify in Michael Jackson Bolanos' case. Now, here's the thing. If the prosecution had everything they needed in order to prosecute beyond a reasonable doubt that Michael Jackson Bolanos had committed this crime, they would not have needed Jeff Herbstman's testimony at all. Like, what purpose did he actually serve in testifying? Because actually, they never named Jeffrey Herbstman as a suspect who confessed to killing Samantha Wall. They actually hid Jeffrey Herbstman the entire time. So let's talk about the difference between these immunities. So, receiving immunity for testimony in a criminal law case. Anyone who is charged with a crime has a Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. This means that they cannot be forced to reveal incriminating information about themselves, even if they are asked by law or in court. The privilege against self-incrimination covers not only responses that are directly incriminating, but also responses that could lead to the discovery of incriminating evidence. Sometimes a prosecutor may bargain with someone who is suspected of a crime if they are believed to have information about other criminal activity. In exchange for testifying against someone else, the witness may receive immunity from prosecution. Immunity comes in different types and may have restrictions, so it is important to understand the specific deal that a prosecutor is offering before agreeing to it. Now, I'm not really sure what Jeff had to offer against Michael Jackson Bolanos because he didn't even know Michael Jackson Bolanos. So he didn't have anything to offer as far as testimony-wise or evidence-wise or witness-wise or anything for Michael Jackson Bolanos. It was really just to cover himself. I'm not really sure. So, also known as total immunity, transactional immunity provides a shield against any future charges based on any matter related to the testimony. The prosecution still can bring charges against the witness for matters that are unrelated to the testimony. Federal criminal justice system does not offer transactional immunity, but many states do. The other main type of immunity is known as use and derivative use immunity. This comes with more restrictions and thus is more often offered by prosecutors. Use and derivative use immunity protects the witness from having the prosecution use their statements or any evidence discovered from their statements against them. Essentially, this produces the same result as if the witness invoked their Fifth Amendment privilege and did not testify at all. It allows the prosecution to bring charges based on the same crime against the witness as long as the charges are based entirely on independent evidence from a different source. Whether that evidence is sufficient to convict the witness without using their statements can be left to a judge or jury to decide. Limits on immunity. Typically, a prosecutor offers immunity to someone who has committed a minor crime because they believe that it will help them catch or convict someone who has committed a major crime. Often, it arises in the context of organized crime, when the prosecution offers a subordinate immunity in exchange for testifying against the leader of an enterprise. For example, the RICO case in the YSL trial with Lil Woody. If you agree to this type of deal, you must testify as promised, or you may face jail time and fines. Interesting. You must testify. An individual who refuses to testify after being awarded immunity can be held in contempt of court and possibly jailed. Example again, Lil Woody in the YSL RICO trial. Sometimes a prosecutor will bring charges against a witness who has been granted immunity. The defendant can raise the defense of immunity by producing evidence to show that they received immunity with regard to the subject matter of the charges. The prosecution then must explain how they acquired all of their evidence. A blanket statement that they did not use the immunized testimony or evidence arising from it will not go far enough. Any evidence that the prosecution acquired from the immunized testimony likely will be excluded from consideration at trial. If excluding the evidence means that the prosecution has no case, the court will dismiss the charges. Waiving immunity. In rare cases, a former witness can waive immunity after receiving it. This allows the prosecution to bring charges against them based on their testimony. The waiver can be explicit, which means the witness signs a written waiver. Or the waiver can be implicit, which may happen when a witness makes a voluntary statement to law enforcement without claiming immunity. An individual sometimes will implicitly waive immunity in advance by choosing to testify rather than asserting their Fifth Amendment privilege. So, as you can see, immunity is not given unless you have something to give to the prosecution. What did Jeffrey Herbstman have to give? Now, he was given use immunity, which means that nothing he said in his testimony could be used to prosecute him in the future. Keep in mind that Jeffrey Herbstman did not have an interrogation or an interview when he called 911 to confess to the killing of Samantha Wall. He didn't have any conversation with the police to give any detail about the murder of Samantha Wall. When he spoke on the stand and was given the use immunity, he only confirmed that he made those statements, but he did not give any details about anything regarding the death of Samantha Wall, which means that basically everything he said on the stand is pretty much irrelevant. So if anything comes out later, if he, say, tells someone that he was in her house that night, if he comes out and says, yes, I actually did kill her and I stabbed her with this kitchen knife, or I did this, that, and the other, or they do find evidence that they can use against him, he will be able to be prosecuted. So he did get use immunity for what he said on the stand. Nothing he said on the stand can be used against him. And he was very careful about not saying anything extra on the stand. So anything he says outside of that, any evidence they find outside of that, means they can prosecute him later. The interesting fact about this use immunity is that means that the prosecution is not sure that they have the right person. That means that they feel that they did not do their due diligence on Jeffrey Herbstman, don't forget his name, that means that they feel that they still need to look into him further and possibly need to prosecute him at some point because they need him, and they felt that they needed him enough to testify on the stand in order to seal the deal on Michael Jackson Bolanos. They didn't feel they had that case wrapped up to beyond a reasonable doubt get their verdict, which they did not, because the jury came back with not guilty on the largest charge, the main charge, which was premeditated felony murder. And the other charges, the lesser charges, they came back deadlocked, which means they cannot charge Michael Jackson Bolanos again. They can't mistrial on a portion of the trial and not all of the trial. You can't do that. You can't mistrial an entire trial when they basically came back and said, he's not guilty. And they deadlocked on the other charges, which were basically the same charges. They're all felony murder. And they said not guilty. He was found guilty on lying to the police. And Jeff's testimony was actually the biggest hurdle. That if they had not used Jeff at all, I do believe the jury probably would have gotten the wrong verdict. But because they brought Jeff in, that made the jury question, like, why does this guy have use immunity? And why is he saying that he killed Samantha Wall if he didn't kill her? So that's a big question. It was a big red flag for the jury. And yeah, it's a big red flag because you don't give immunity to someone who doesn't have something to hide. And you don't give use immunity to someone that you don't think you might have some evidence come up later and need to, I don't know, prosecute them. You don't give use immunity to someone that you don't think possibly did it and that you might have the wrong guy. But you also don't bring a trial against someone who you don't have enough evidence to bring a trial to, especially when Kim Worthy, the very district attorney there, says she does not allow her prosecutors to bring things to trial, even on surveillance systems that follow people around and give facial recognition, especially on Black and brown people, because, oh, hell no, that is discriminatory and it is not accurate. But yet they brought a case against a Black man who just used basic surveillance at night on a Black and brown person who you can't tell if it's that person. And you had a white man, Jeffrey Herbstman, who confessed and gave him immunity. So who is protecting Jeffrey Herbstman? Who is protecting Jeffrey Herbstman? Who is trying to put Michael Jackson Bolanos in jail and trying to save Jeffrey Herbstman? Who has the money and the power and the position to do that? Now that we know what immunity is and how you get it, I'd like to know how Jeff got it. If he has nothing to offer as far as getting someone bigger, as far as anything to offer in the crime itself, what did Jeff have to give to the prosecution? That's a good question. If anyone has an answer for that, I would greatly appreciate that in the comments. If anyone has ever heard of anyone getting use immunity that didn't have anything to do with a crime, and I say that very, very sarcastically because clearly Jeff had something to do with this crime because he got use immunity. And you don't give use immunity to people who aren't criminals or don't have anything to do with a crime. So why are they protecting Jeff? And why are they trying to put the wrong man in prison? And why is no one talking about it? I mean, are you waiting for Michael to die? Is that what everyone's waiting for? Because I'm not waiting for Michael to die. I don't want another person to die. I want justice for Samantha, and I want Michael Jackson Bolanos to go free because they have the wrong man. They have the man that confessed, and they gave him immunity, and they let him walk. And then he gets to go to synagogue every week, and he gets to have his life. Samantha Wall doesn't get to do that. She doesn't get to have her life. She doesn't get to go to synagogue. She doesn't get to see her family. She doesn't get to do any of those things. Her life is over. It is gone. And instead of seeing the forest for the trees, we are charging the wrong man in Detroit, and we're letting the guy go who confessed. That's on you, Detroit. That's on Detroit. That's on Wayne County. That's on you, Kim Worthy. And that's on you, Judge Van Houten, who, by the way, doesn't know jack about crime and criminal law. In case you didn't know, Judge Van Houten was appointed by the prior governor, and then she ran for re-election in 2020. You Detroiters stuck with her till 2027 because you Detroiters apparently don't pay attention to your voting on the local level, and you don't vote on the local level because she got voted in 2020. And yeah, so good for you, Detroit, for not paying attention to your local elections because she's there till 2027. She doesn't know anything about criminal law, which is why she has to look at this a little longer because she doesn't know. She did litigation, you guys. Real estate, come on. She didn't do criminal law. And Kim Worthy, yeah, she's the one who has been working under the prosecution for how long? Since the 80s. And she's on her 5th, 6th term. I don't know how long their terms are, but she's on many terms. And she supposedly found over 11,000 rape kits that hadn't been tested. And Samantha Wall had a rape kit, and that wasn't tested. So who knows? But Kim Worthy doesn't have a great track record either. So here you have a black prosecutor who put an innocent black man on trial just to close a very high-profile case. And then you had a guy who confessed, Jeffrey Herbstman, who confessed, and you have a prosecutor's office that gave him use immunity. But yet he had nothing to offer. Nothing to offer the prosecution. Nothing, no bigwig criminal, nothing to give, just his crappy testimony that meant nothing. And he got use immunity while Michael Jackson Bolanos has been in jail since December. So you guys help me out here, Detroit. Oh, and then I hear that Michigan is all on board for Kamala Harris. Great job, you guys. You guys are doing so well there in Detroit and in Michigan. I'm telling you what, you guys are so great. I'm telling you. You know what is so great about it is that you are always talking about how you want to help people and how social justice is and how you want to be there for it, but you're letting this guy be wrongfully accused and you're going to vote for Kamala Harris? Did you guys know that she put more black people in prison than any other in the state of California? Did you guys know that? Oh my gosh. Great job. Great job, Detroit. Great job, Michigan. Just to let you know, I'm still very disappointed in the fact that you guys have to wait for someone to die to help them. But I wanted to let you know what immunity was, what use immunity and transactional immunity was, so you could see the difference, and that so you could see that it's only really given to actual criminals, aka Lil Woody in the YSL RICO trial, and it's mostly used in RICO trials and things like that, and high profile and actually murder trials, like to get the actual murderer. Again, you look at Adam Montgomery, you look at Gypsy Rose, you look at trials like that where they're actually trying to just like, let's get the one that we really want, the one that we want to put in prison forever, and we'll let this one slide even though they were part of it. Jeffrey Herbstman and Michael Jackson Bolanos did not know each other. The prosecution just wants to get someone in prison, and it's not the person who confessed. Y'all have a great night. Kamsahamnida. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.